Hi, my name is Dan Dalton. I'm a religious land use attorney with the law firm of Dalton and Tomich in Detroit. And today we're going to talk about a specific case called the American Islamic Community Center versus the City of Sterling Heights, Michigan. I had the distinct pleasure and honor of representing the American Islamic Community Center, also known as AICC, in their lawsuit where they were able to obtain permission for a mosque after we concluded the litigation. So what led up to this case? In the city of Sterling Heights, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit, there is a certain area where families, Muslim families, have lived for about a century. They wanted to build a mosque, and they wanted to have the mosque close to their home. So they found a piece of land. They found that the zoning permitted that land, that use on that land for a mosque, and they purchased it. But knowing that it was controversial, they tried to purchase it and have it go through the Planning Commission without any type of political upheaval or any type of public outcry. But there was public outcry. The Planning Commission was inundated with letters and angry constituents from the city of Sterling Heights where individuals just didn't want a mosque, primarily because they were scared. They didn't know. They didn't know that their neighbors who had been there for a century were Muslim, and they didn't know how they worshiped. So the Planning Commission, at their first meeting, even though that the mosque met all the zoning requirements and planning requirements, decided they were going to hold over that decision for a second meeting. At the conclusion of the first meeting, one planning commissioner commented that if this was a church, it'd be no problem. They'd let it in. When they went to the second meeting, and prior to the second meeting, one of the planning commission members went around to all his other board members and tallied the votes to make sure that he had enough to deny. And he made the motion at the second meeting to deny the use. Thereafter, we spent the next year interviewing witnesses and talking to individuals, reviewing thousands of pages of documents, and preparing this case for litigation. We then filed the lawsuit, and soon thereafter, the United States Department of Justice joined in and filed a separate lawsuit in support of our case. Thereafter, we were able to sit down with the city, and we came up with an amicable resolution where the mosque was able to be built and that the city would comply with certain civil rights requirements from the Department of Justice, and that the city would pay damages and attorney fees to the mosque for that delay in the building in a substantial amount of money. So what can we learn from the AICC case? Number one is that we have to be, as a planning commission, you have to be ruthlessly fair. If you make comments like a church would be approved, but a mosque will not be, you're going to lose a lawsuit. I guarantee you that. And as a religious organization, the thing to know is make sure that you have individuals taping the meetings, making sure that every comment is being captured, because that comment was not put in the minutes of the city planning commission agenda. It was only noticed after someone taped the meeting and found that out when the individual was mic'd up. The second thing that religious institutions need to know is that sometimes planning commissioners don't act fairly. So you have to go into the planning commission knowing that you're going to be denied and knowing that you have to sue. So you have to prepare your application, you have to prepare your witnesses, you have to prepare your experts to lead them to a point that you can have a successful claim if you get into federal court. The third thing is to know is that the Congress provided within RLUIPA that the United States Department of Justice can intervene in cases involving religious discrimination and land use matters. Over the past decade or so, since 2000, since the law was passed, I have worked expressly with Justice Department attorneys in Washington, D.C., and local attorneys throughout the United States who have assisted clients in these matters. Now, the Justice Department will only help to the point of getting the land use approved. They won't talk to damages or attorney fees. That's where the private attorneys come into play. But those are lessons that I think that you can learn. And it was very important that this community stayed together, that the mosque is now going through the process of getting permits to be built, and that eventually that mosque is going to be built in the city of Sterling Heights. As a side note, neighbors did sue, or individuals did sue the city, saying, hey, they cut a bad deal and they violated the Open Meetings Act when they approved the mosque. But a state court in Macomb County has found that that claim has been invalid and has dismissed the lawsuit. And in federal court, a federal court just denied a motion for preliminary injunction on that same issue. In addition, the federal court has directed the individuals who are complaining about the mosque to address the issue of whether they have standing, meaning whether they can even have the ability to challenge this lawsuit in federal court. These are issues that we anticipated when we settled the lawsuit and anticipated when we crafted that settlement agreement. So it's very, very important to go into this process if you know you're going to be denied, to prepare for winning, to prepare the litigation, and that's where we can help you. If you have more questions about this case, or if you have a religious land use issue that you want to talk about, feel free to contact me or go to our resource page on attorneysforlanduse.com. Thanks for watching.